Alright, Mew, you little sweet ragamuffin. You ready to go on a fun-filled, wacky adventure to your favorite place in the world, Muni?
I shall feast on the soul of a person who came up with the name Muni.
Well, okay then, let's go!
I'm talking rainbows, I'm talking fluffies.
Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, back with another exciting video for BCG Disney Week, and I'm joined by my bestest buddy in the whole wide world, Mew, to talk about our favorite show, Star versus the Forces of Evil. You ready, Mew? Alright, let's get started. You know, on second thought, Mew, I think you might have to sit this one out. You know how crazy it can get in Muni, and I don't want you to get hurt. You know, you're my bestest buddy in the whole world. So you just stay back here, and I'll go do the review myself, okay? Oh, here, let me fix this tail right here, okay? Alright, now let's get started. So Star versus the Forces of Evil is about Star Butterfly, a magical princess from another dimension called Muni, love that name, who's sent to Earth to practice her magic and lives in the house of Marco Diaz. Together, the two embark on magical adventures, encountering a variety of outrageous characters and, as the title suggests, faces off against the forces of evil. And from here, things get a little weird and they get a little loud. Now, I don't recall whether or not I stumbled upon the show by accident or somebody recommended it to me, but what I do remember is its initial and, in my opinion, quite fascinating pitch that, as an anime lover myself, I wish was the actual show. You see, the creator of the show, Darren Nefsi, I hope that's how you pronounce her name, if not, apologies Nefsi, I'm terrible at pronunciation, but when she originally pitched the show to Disney, she pitched it as a show about a girl obsessed with magical girls, most specifically Sailor Moon, and would dress up like one of them and want to be a magical girl, but there was no actual magic in the show, it was just their imagination, who had a rivalry with a boy that was obsessed with Dragon Ball Z and was into karate, and these two would clash in every single episode. When I heard that pitch, I got super excited. I could not believe that there was going to be a Disney show where the two main characters were heavily influenced by two of the biggest anime across the world. I was like, wow, this might be something incredible. And then I watched the first episode, I'm like, wait, is this the show that she pitched? Because this doesn't feel like the initial pitch, because it turned into an actual magical girl show where the princess is more bubbly and poppy, kind of in line with some magical girls in anime, so I guess there is still some heavy anime influence, but darn, I was so excited to see that initial pitch, and it just didn't turn out to be the end result for the show. But that doesn't mean that the show is bad now. I'm just a little upset that she didn't go with the initial pitch. And originally as well, I was supposed to watch and review the series for last year's BCG Disney Week, but unfortunately, I ran out of time and I wasn't able to complete the first season, so I decided to postpone it until next year's BCG Disney Week. And so now here we are, I finally saw all 3 seasons, and I'm kind of glad I did not review it last year, or else I would have missed the really good Season 3, although it started off a bit rocky, but I'm glad that I saw Season 3 because it has one of my favorite episodes. So I saw the entirety of the series, and what do I think of it? Well, let's get into it! The animation here is a perfect visual representation of the show. Energetic, colorful, and cheery. With a few exceptions here and there, it can get pretty dark and gloomy in some episodes. And when it comes to the character designs, I love every single one of them. They're rich with great detail and cuteness, with characters having distinct features that complement their personalities. My personal favorite is Jackie's look, with her aquamarine highlights that complement her bleach blonde hair and lighter green eyes. It was a visually appealing and something that I rarely see in a show. I'll also give a runner-up shout out to Kelly, whose long and beautiful aquamarine hair and cute face are starting to stand out to me the more and more I see her, especially in Season 3. More on her a little later. The voice acting was spot on, as everyone was very expressive and energetic. You can really tell everyone enjoyed voicing their characters. From Grey DeLisle Griffin, who voiced both Queen Moon and Jackie, to Alan Tudyk, who voiced both King River and Ludo. And I just realized I named the 2 people with dual roles in the show. I did not do that intentionally. And man, you want to talk about range? I did not even know that Alan Tudyk voiced both of these characters until I looked it up. I had a feeling he was voicing Ludo, as he's done a voice very similar to that in other shows and movies, but I had no idea that he also voiced King River. I mean, both voices are so distinct and different from one another, you would never assume that they were voiced by the same person. He completely loses himself with each performance, and the guy is just a national treasure. I mean, he's a talented actor, an even better voice actor, and I'm so glad that he's finally getting the recognition that he has deserved for the past 15 years. I remember seeing him in Death at a Funeral, the best performance in that entire film, and I'm like, who is this guy? This guy needs more work. This guy needs to be in more stuff, and I'm glad that he is. And he's finally going to be in almost every single Disney animated film, so there's nothing wrong with that. The two leads were wonderful as well. Eden Shear, who voices Star, captures the zany and sporadic tendencies of her character. And for a first-time voice actress, she already seems like a pro. She's so natural with her performance, and I really liked it. And Adam MacArthur, who voices Dipper 2.0 in the show, aka Marco, gives a very solid straight man performance. I love his wit, charisma, comedic timing, and delivery. I got a lot of Michael Bluth vibes from his performance, which is pretty interesting considering that Jeffrey Tambor and Jessica Walter also voice characters in this show. Another complimentary piece that makes the show enjoyable is the music. First, the score with its video game inspired sound, which is a clear homage to the game soundtracks of the 80s and early 90s, adds an extra layer of excitement, whether it be a silly fight scene or a chase down the hall. But better than the score is the theme song. My goodness, that theme song. It is so freaking addicting. It's bursting with energy from its first note all the way to its last. It's also a beautiful and masterful blend of 8-bit techno and pop rock, creating an infectious jam that you're going to want to hear in a loop for 10 hours. Which I did. Now, the story might seem simple at first glance, especially for the first 2 seasons, as they were very episodic and silly. But if you look very closely, you'll see a very intricate story being told, planted from the very beginning within the veneer of the wacky adventures of Star and Marco. And that story within the story centers around human-monster relations, which are pretty volatile to say the least. Now, the arc is starting to come to the forefront of the narrative in Season 3, reaching its highest peak in the latest episode, Monster Bash, which in my opinion is the best episode of the series thus far. It definitely had one of the biggest twists in the series. I really like this arc. I love the direction that it's going, and I find it so fascinating for many reasons. First, it's a unique conflict that I haven't seen done before in a Disney show, much less a silly cartoon show. And even more surprising, it doesn't feel out of place. It finds that rare balance where the drama does not come off as intrusive, as well as trying to convey a message without coming off too preachy or condescending. Second, the story is a clever allusion to America's dark history, both past and present, making for some sharp, subtle social commentary. Think Zootopia, but replace the predators with monsters and then add a magical theme. One of, if not the best example of this illusion is the episode Munipendence Day. Now, I won't give away what the episode was alluding to, but I'll give you a hint. Think the Trail of Tears. And lastly, not only is the conflict unique in a Disney show, but it's also a refreshing one for a Disney princess to deal with. Not since Atlantis the Lost Empire has a Disney princess faced the challenge of diplomacy between two opposing sides. And you know what? That really gives a whole new perspective on the show's title. The forces of evil that Star and Marco face might not actually be a physical threat, but an intangible one, a societal one. That is some ingenious writing right there. So hats off to the writers of the series for the surprising depth and subtext in this seemingly silly cartoon. But even with all that complicated and heavy subject matter, the show still retains its delightful and funny nature with some of the one-off episodes here and there. And I really enjoyed these episodes. I love seeing Star and Marco interact with each other, or interact with other characters, or go on silly adventures. I think that is the true basis of this show. It's supposed to be a fun show for kids, and I enjoyed many of those stories. but I still want to give them props for tackling that type of subject matter and doing it in such a brilliant way. And finally, I thoroughly enjoyed many of the characters in this show. They were a whole lot of fun to watch. From the leads, Star and Marco, to the supporting characters like Jackie, Jonna, Tom, Kelly, Marco's parents, the King and Queen of Mutti, and a whole bunch of others. Heck, even the antagonists got time to shine, and they got some great development thrown their way. So let's talk about the leads first. To me, Star Butterfly is an extreme concoction of sorts, brought up when you mix the charm and fluffy innocence of Mabel from Gravity Falls, the spontaneous and energetic behavior of Mako from Kill la Kill, and the defiant, optimistic, determined personality of Akko from Little Witch Academia, and then dump a gallon of eccentricness and wackiness into the mix. And while admittedly her behavior can get rather annoying, grainy, and way too childish for a teen from time to time, her bubbliness, positivity, and adventurous spirit makes her so hard to hate. I mean, just look at her. She's such a sweetheart. As for Senor Mako Diaz, he's the perfect straight man / complimentary piece for Star, being a more mature, sensible, down-to-earth, and responsible individual that watches over Star and tries to keep her out of trouble. Emphasis on try. And also for me, he's the most relatable character in the entire series, as I see a lot of myself in Marco. His studious nature, how he would act awkwardly in front of girls and be too afraid to confront them, and his relationship with Star is eerily similar to a relationship that I also had with a girl in high school. Of course, minus the whole magic part. And since I mentioned it, Star and Marco's friendship is strong and dynamic. You can just feel the chemistry oozing from them, from their playful banter to the touching sentimental moments that they share. They know each other inside and out and are always there to support one another. They have an amazing friendship. They have an amazing friendship. They have an amazing friendship.
They have an amazing friendship.
Now surprisingly, the other standout character in this series that goes through arguably the best character arc is Ludo. What started off as a comic relief villain that would pop up in every episode and then get defeated and then come back again in another episode turned into a character that was at his lowest of lows and slowly fought his way back to the top to take dominance over everybody. I am completely astonished by these turn of events. I cannot believe this character was able to change my entire outlook on him. I personally did not like this character, to be honest. I thought he was a poor man's Draken or a ripoff of Team Rocket. In fact, I was quite surprised that he didn't have like a closing line whenever he would be defeated by Star, like, "I'll get you, my pretty butterfly, next time," or "Team Ludo's blasting off again." I mean, he did have like a team of monsters that would always come and try to beat up on Star, but they did a poor job doing so. But after season 2, I see Ludo in an entirely different light, and I hope they bring him back for season 3 because surprisingly, I really miss the guy. He was such a fun character. Other characters I really liked in the show include Jackie, Marco's crush, who had a really great relationship with them, and I thought they made a pretty great couple. Jonna the kleptomaniac, who primarily steals Marco's stuff for some reason and is into weird things. An interesting fact about the character, her last name suggests that she's actually Filipina. I thought that was pretty cool. We got Kelly, one of Star's friends, who's notable for having long... Damn it! You gotta be... Then we got Kelly, one of Star's friends, notable for her long aquamarine hair and her on-again, off-again relationship with her boyfriend Tad. But after season 3, specifically Lava Lake Beach, which, by the way, is my second favorite episode in the entire series, she seems to be getting closer with Marco, which, honestly, I'm okay with. In fact, I'm rooting for it hard because I see a lot of potential with her as a character and as a love interest. And I think if she spends more time with Marco, not only is she going to grow closer with him, but we're also going to learn a lot more about her as a character, as an individual. And to wrap it all up, we have Tom, the Demon Prince and Star's former and current boyfriend. The funniest thing about this character, besides his angry outbursts, is the fact that for a character as awesome looking and cool as he is, he has such an unintimidating and average name. I mean, seriously, when you look at this character, do you think to yourself, yeah, he totally looks like a Tom to me? Absolutely not! You would think he would have a much tougher sounding name, like Titus, or Baraxis, or Destructicon, or something with an "is" at the end of it, not Tom. It's such a buzzkill. Like, I remember the first time he shows up in a very extravagant way, and when Star introduces him, she's like, yeah, this is my ex-boyfriend, Tom. And I go,
I'm talking rainbows, I'm talking puppies.
Now, as much as I've been gushing about Star versus the forces of evil, I do have quite a few problems with it. Now, earlier I was heaping a ton of praise towards the characters, but there are a few characters in this series that really got under my skin and annoyed the living hell out of me. The most egregious one out of all of them, the one I found the most annoying, was Ponyhead. God, I freaking hate this character. Whenever she would show up in the series, I was like, oh God, I'm not gonna like this episode whatsoever. There was a whole episode dedicated to Ponyhead, and I hate to admit this, but I skipped it because I was like, I'm not watching a whole episode of Ponyhead. And not only was it Ponyhead, but it was her entire family. So I'm like, nope, skip, I'm not watching it. And I don't know whether it's Jenny Slate's performance or the personality of the character or a combination of the two, but I just couldn't stand this character. You know, everyone wants to whine and complain about Powerpuff Girls 2016 and how it's clearly pandering to its audience, but I haven't heard a peep from any of you in regards to Ponyhead. And she's the exact same thing, a character made to pander to the millennials. Heck, I just thought of this now. She's the cartoon version of Kim Kardashian. From her attitude, the snootiness, the annoying voice that makes me want to shoot myself in the head. I mean, she embodies Kim Kardashian on almost every single level. And I don't know whether that was intentional or accidental, but I still freaking hate it. Another one who I will admit is significantly more important than Ponyhead, but is equally as annoying, is Glossary. Now I get it, he does serve a purpose to the overall story and to the characters. Oh my goodness, this character, I don't know if he was testing my patience, but it sure as hell felt like it. He was absolutely abysmal in the first season. Like, he had nothing to do. He was just there to be annoying to me. Like that thing just poking at my head like, hey, 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 and it just made me want to blow up and say, shut the heck up, man, why are you doing this to me? What did I do to you, Glossary? And not only that, he would go out of his way to be as unhelpful as possible. He's the biggest troll in this series. Heck, you could almost say that what he's doing right now in the third season is just one big troll. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if what he's doing in the third season was all an act. And he's like, surprise, I'm actually not like that. I'd be like, you know what? I would show you this, but it's Disney week and, you know, gotta keep it family friendly. But I think you know what finger I'm holding up right now, Glossary. That's for you, buddy. That's for you. But you know what? Those characters are just mere symptoms of a much bigger problem I found with the series. And it's a problem that probably would bother adults more than kids. And that's the overdone silliness of the show. Now, I'm willing to forgive the show for this because it is a show for kids. So having silly moments in this show makes a lot of sense. Kids like silly stuff. But I still want to point it out because it did stifle my enjoyment for some episodes. Not all the time, but sometimes. They really dropped the ball when it came to Star's magical training, as I don't feel like she has progressed at all throughout the series. I don't feel like she got any better using her magic. Now, you can make the argument that she can cast spells much better, and yeah, I could agree with that, but she still doesn't seem to have perfected her style. She hasn't perfected using her magic, and this always bothered me, especially because later on in the series, she doesn't defeat her foes because of the skills that she learned throughout the series. It's more or less a Deus Ex Machina that allows her to be so powerful to defeat her foes. And speaking of that, the battle for Mutti. What a complete letdown! The way that they wrap up this 2-hour, 4-episode-long arc is probably the most underwhelming thing that I've not only seen in this series, but that I've seen all year. I thought it was building up to this epic climax where you're gonna see two opposing sides just clashing with each other, you know, like a big epic battle. After all, it's called the Battle for Mutti. I thought it was gonna be something grand and epic. And if not that, maybe it could have been something intelligent or clever, like having the characters come together and kind of work out their differences, you know, find common ground with each other and then go their separate ways, you know, maybe find some unity, you know, doing the whole human monster relations thing, maybe have it come to a crescendo. Well, I guess they wanted to build it up a bit more before concluding it, but I thought they were gonna reach some type of an impasse with it, which I also would have been okay with, because that would have been different. That would have been refreshing. And if not something different and refreshing, at least give us an epic clash. Instead, what we got was a Deus Ex Machina and then the end of a character that was pretty cool and then did nothing really, and now that character's gone. Supposedly. Maybe the character might come back, but I don't know, man. There's no hints to it at all. But either way, if the character comes back or not, I don't think the character's gonna have the same sort of impact that they did in previous seasons. It was just disappointing on so many levels. Am I the only one that felt that way after seeing the conclusion for the Battle of Mutti? Please let me know in the comments, guys. And lastly, I am not a fan of Star liking Marco, as well as this very noticeable push to make them a couple. One, it feels incredibly forced. And yeah, sure, they have shared many emotional and sentimental moments with each other, but nothing to hint that there's a possibility of romance between the two. It just felt like two friends that were there for each other in their moment of need. Two, it ruins the great and incredible friendship that they already had. The two of them had impeccable chemistry. There was absolutely no awkwardness between them. They could be open with each other. They could share their inner thoughts with one another. They were that close with one another, almost like a brother and sister. But once Star admits her feelings to Marco, the dynamic changes and the awkwardness rushes in, leading to the cliche and obvious exchanges that we see all the time when two friends start to like each other. Boring! And with that said, my third and final reason, it's so cliche and predictable. We have seen this done 1,000 times before, and the way that they're doing it here isn't all that good. And I find it very amusing that for a show that was doing such a great job at being different and original, with a story filled with context and social awareness that wasn't preachy or up its own butt about it, to throw in a conventional will they, won't they scenario with the two leads just feels so out of place, especially since the Joe was doing an exemplary job at having the two leads find love outside of their friendship. Whew! Glad I got that out of my system. But with all that said, overall guys, despite all of its flaws, I still really enjoyed watching Star versus the Forces of Evil. There's a great story being told here with a lot of interesting, fascinating, and entertaining characters, a lot of laughs, a lot of cheers, just a lot of fun moments. It's a really entertaining show, and I definitely think that it is worth watching, especially now that Season 3 is starting to pick up and a lot of things are happening. I mean, that last episode, Monster Bash, that's the last one I've seen so far. Wow. I'm very curious to see where the story is going next. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Star versus the Forces of Evil. I would love to know what you guys thought of the series as well. Did you overall enjoy it? Is it one of your favorite series to watch on Disney Channel right now? Or is it really boring, dull, derivative, and you just couldn't get into it? And let me know, where do you stand on the whole Star Code thing? That's the big debate in the community right now. There are people that are for it, there are people that are against it. Where do you stand? Comment below, let me know. And also let me know, who is a couple that you like that started off as friends first, then got romantically involved? Comment below, let me know, and I can already tell I'm gonna get a ton of Kim Ron comments, ain't I? Okay, well, I'm ready for them. Stay tuned, more Disney Week videos are on the way. Hopefully this video doesn't come out late. The power went out as I was working on this video, so I wasn't able to complete it. Hopefully I release it on time. If not, I apologize, guys. I tried my best. I can't predict what Guam's gonna throw at me next. But do stay tuned, more videos are on their way, and I want to take this time to personally thank all the patrons who donated to my Patreon account. And if you'd like to support this channel and keep it afloat, consider donating to my Patreon account. There's a link in the description. And until the next Disney Week video comes, if you'd like to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic Crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'll talk about in a second, the magical boy known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube!
It's gonna get a little